Hey, guys. I am super excited. We've got the Chris Miles Money Minute here on the Fearless Investor Podcast. And just so everyone knows, we have been doing this on the final Wednesday of every month. We're actually changing that to the final Thursday of every month. So make sure that you adjust that on your calendars. I know it's definitely as an alarm in your phone, right? So let's get to it now with Chris Miles, guys. If you are not already listening, Chris is helping you to retire earlier. He's helping you to be able to use infinite banking, whole life policies, and just so many different strategies to help you to understand what to do with your money, how to use it, and how to get to retirement earlier. And if you want to be able to connect with Chris, all you have to do is go to fearlesskyle.com/Chris Miles. It takes you 5 minutes to fill out a little form there that's going to be able to get you right over to Chris Miles. He's going to talk to you about what your financial goals are and how to be able to, again, get you to retirement earlier. But today, Chris, we're talking about something that won't get you to retirement earlier. Floor is yours, my man.
Yeah. So, I'll tell you, every time I talk to somebody, like they always say, Chris, what should I do with my 401k? Right? Like, what's going on? And especially the market, I don't know, see what's happening. I mean, tech stocks are driving the market super duper high, right?
Right.
Ridiculously high, like to the point where people are even normal, rational people would say, this doesn't make sense. And the truth is stocks are not real assets, nor are your mutual funds. Like your mutual fund is kind of like a Xerox copy of a copy, right? Like if you remember, like you have your master copy because you keep that because that's the most bold inked copy and you make copies from that. But what if you lose your master copy? You're like, oh shoot, well, here's this crappier copy. I'll make a copy of this crappy copy. And so it just gets crappier down the line. That is basically what your mutual fund and retirement plans are all made up of. That is exactly everything a financial advisor tells you to buy, right?
Right.
Now, the thing is, like I get people say, I'm max funding my 401k. Like this should work, right? No, it can't work.
No.
Unless you have favors from Biden or whatever, person that comes in the office saying, I'm going to make sure I take care of you in your old age because Social Security will be around forever. Bull crap. All that stuff.
Yep.
It just doesn't happen, right? So, the thing is, if you're relying on you because you don't want to have to rely on the government and be a moocher and a looter to rely on your financial health, right?
100%.
It doesn't work. So let's go to the numbers, right? Because people say, but Chris, I get the match. It's free money. It's dumb. Why shouldn't I do it? And I'm like, free money is awesome. But what's the real result of that? That's the thing that nobody ever projects.
Right.
So rule number one, there's false beliefs about the return of the stock market. Everybody believes the stock market does 10 or 12% a year average. That may be the average, but that's not the actual yield. And we've talked about that before in other podcasts we've done together, right?
Yep.
Like the actual yield of the market is usually between about 7.5% to 8% over a 30-year period. That's it. That's before they take out all their fees, right? So when you have management fees and everything else come out, you're lucky to make 6.5% to 7% a year.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
So let's just give the benefit of the doubt. Let's just say that you got this amazing 401k, right? Say you're making $150,000 a year. You're putting in the max. You're putting in that $19,500 a year, and you're getting a match. Now they only match, we'll say 100% match up to 6% of that, right? Which is really only giving you about $28,000 a year total. So now that's not bad. I mean, think about it. That's the max you can possibly put in. You're putting in all the money you could possibly, they allow you.
Which for a lot of people is almost 40% of their paycheck.
Yeah. It's more than what most people can do. Right.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy thing. So 28,000 a year at 7%, right? And I'm going to compound this over 30 years. Now, here's the other kicker. One, you're not paying tax on this money yet. By the way, in the Trump tax plan, this is the lowest taxes we've been in decades. So don't count on your taxes being the same or lower in the future.
Exactly.
Two, and this is the reason why your taxes will probably never be lower, is inflation, right? Because even if they keep the tax rate the same, you got to spend more money, and that requires higher income tax, right? Well, inflation, they'll tell you that it's only averaged the last 5 years. Like, they're saying like they're trying to get to that 2% average. So they say it's only been 1.5% for 5 years. Bull. That the numbers they're using, right? They're trying to figure out how to let Social Security stretch. So they've been playing with these inflation numbers since the 1970s, really since the Carter era. Every president has manipulated those numbers along the way. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. they've tried to do everything possible to make the inflation rate look lower, right? So the truth is, if you go to like shadowstats.com, if you go look up that, right, they actually tell you what the true inflation rate is, the real cost of living rate. It's actually about 7% higher, whatever the government tells you. So if they say it's 2%
higher,
7% higher now.
Whoa.
Like you'll see over the graph over the years, it's kind of diverged as presidents have gone on. And that's now it's kind of been the same, right? But it's about 7% higher. So if they say 2%, it's really 9% a year. Now think about from the brain of experience, right? If you've been around long enough, think about 20 years ago, what things were costing, right? Think of the cost of your house. Think about, I mean, my first house I bought nearly 20 years ago, I bought for $112,000. Like that thing now sells for about almost 300,000, right? Think about the food costs. Like I remember as a college student over 20 years ago, I could live on $50-$60 a month for food. And I was buying instant crap. Like I wasn't even buying like real foods, that you can, save money on. I was just buying instant stuff because I was a college student, all that stuff. Like it's hard to even live on as a single person. $100-$200 a month for food is pretty dang hard to do even today, right? And that's really just food costs, gas costs, and everything else, right? So you throw all that stuff together, inflation, I'm going to make it conservative. I'm going to say it's only 5% a year, right? I'm going to go right in the middle of what they say versus what the statistics actually say.
Okay.
Right. So 5%, right? Here's the thing, that means it's going to be worth less. So 7%, 28,000 a year with your match and everything else, your number is $2.8 million. Now, they're going to tell you that you should live on, they used to tell you 4%, right? Like you pull out 4%. That was numbers based in the 1970s. We're living longer now, and the returns in the bond market especially is lower. Now, good advisors are saying 2%. So if you live on 2% of 2.8 million, that means you're actually living on $56,000 a year. Not 100,000, not a lot, 56,000. But wait, there's more. that after inflation adjustment, we just talked about inflation, right? That 2.8 million is actually only worth in today's dollars $650,000.
Yeah, exactly.
650. So you live on 2% of that. If you want to feel what that really feels like in today's dollars, that means you're now only living on about $13,000 a year.
That's crazy.
Think about it. You've dumped in $19,500 of your own money to now live on only about $13,000 a year.
So, okay, I don't mean to interrupt you here, but I mean, there's just so many things there. And the biggest thing that I'm listening to this book right now, you and I were talking about it, The Heads I Win, Tails You Lose. And they actually talk about in the book, the owner, or not the owner, the founder of the 401k. And he said straight up that this was designed to help business owners way more than it was designed to help the actual employees, because it was supposed to be taking the place of pensions and all the fees that came along and all the worries that came along with pensions for business owners. And instead ended up being this thing that now people are seeing it as this retirement opportunity. So why are people being told that this is such a good retirement opportunity, or what is it that they're seeing that makes them think this, and not see the things that you're talking about?
We're playing by old rules, right? Yeah. That's part of it. That's one. Just like the Depression era, people taught us we should always pay off our house, right? Because you don't want to have it taken or foreclosed on, even though you make payments every month, which doesn't happen anymore, right? Those old rules pass on. And you're right. Like back then in the 70s, when the high-end tax rates were so much higher, executives and business owners that made a lot of money were doing everything possible to get from like this 60% tax bracket down to like 20, right? But we don't have that world anymore. We don't have those kind of tax brackets anymore. It's way less. It makes way less of a benefit for us. Plus, because of inflation, it doesn't matter anyways. We're going to probably pay more in the future than we are right now. So that's part of the problem. The other problem is that financial advisors and the whole financial industry, like Fidelity, right, or Merrill Lynch and all these companies that offer you these 401ks, here's the problem. They're making money off of you throwing money in there and letting it sit while they make their basic fees every single year that you leave your money in there. Because even in the 401k has some of the highest fees of all mutual funds because they don't charge all the sales commissions you get from financial advisors. They charge administrative fees. They have like 17 different fees they charge you inside of a 401k. Some of them tally up to at least 1% to 2% a year or more.
Yeah. Well, and I think, so many people that are uneducated, including myself a few years ago, we hear this term tax deferred and we think, oh, that's
Mhm.
awesome. Like I'm not going to get taxed on this, but no, that means that you're going to get taxed in the future. And
Yep.
the real question, like you said, are we going to get taxed less or more in the future on income? Probably more,
Yeah.
especially if we see all this inflation continuing to go up at the rate at which it's going. So
That's right.
honestly, I would love on our next episode, Chris. Okay, so we're talking about the things that are probably like hitting people at the heart right now and like, oh gosh, I got to get rid of my 401k right now and do something else. Let's give
Mhm.
people next month some constructive ways to be able to use this money that they're putting away, the 19,000 a year, as things that can be invested on. You know what I love? Investing in yourself more than anything.
Yeah.
You can use that 19, heck, if you can use 5,000 of that dollars
Mhm.
to give yourself a raise in your own business by adding more value to people, by educating yourself, by partnering up with people who know how to get you to where you want to go, i.e. mentorship or education. Like that to
Mhm.
me is a much better investment to help you get to your goals rather than this. And what you and I have talked about, it's acceleration versus accumulation. And I think
That's
that's where
right.
you get to retirement. And honestly, we talk about retirement. I don't ever want to retire. I know you never want to retire. That's
Mhm.
boring. But to be able to have
Yeah.
those choices, to be able to either work on passion projects, be with your family, that isn't going to happen in a 401k and a retirement fund through accumulation. It's going to come through acceleration. So, Chris, I would love if we could talk about some solutions for that and how to get people to retirement quicker in our next episode.
I agree. I think that'd be awesome.
Awesome. Cool. So, guys, once again, Chris Miles, if you want to connect with him, if you want to use any of the things that he is doing with his clients to be able to accelerate your income and to just get a different mindset on this whole, idea of retirement and wealth accumulation or acceleration, you got to get connected with him by just going to fearlesskyle.com/Chris Miles. Very simple. Fill out a form and you will be able to get a consultation with Chris about how to be able to get to your financial goals. So, Chris, any last words for our episode this month?
Man, I just tell you, there's always hope, but doing the same thing that you've always done will always get you the same results you've always got, right? And the America as a whole is not retiring wealthy and happy. Like it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Don't follow the herd. You got to do something different of what the actual people that have freedom will do. And that's what we're going to talk about next time.
Let's do it. Awesome. Well, Chris, thanks for joining us here on the Chris Miles Money Minute. Wouldn't be the Chris Miles Money Minute without you on here. So thanks again, brother.